So Bruce used the phrase bridge the gap. Right now, that could be applied to the fight, could be applied to other aspects of life. When you've got 20, 30 people in class, you're even 12, 15, it's important to work with everybody, but it's also important to understand what someone does in their life. But getting to know people and getting to know what their goals are is going to help them push themselves toward it. It's a community. You're not just coming to me to learn Jeet Kune. There's a relationship that we're building. And I think for me, it's important to have somebody that, you've got a heart-to-heart connection with, because there's this symbiotic, there's a relationship there when you're training somebody. If you've got that other relationship in place, they both build at the same time, but you've got to have both. Phong, when he first started, I thought this is a really cool, really good-natured guy that wanted to learn the art. That was my initial impression of him. Over the years, he's had great attendance. He's helpful. He wants to learn. You've got to kick him in the pants sometimes. People always need guidance, no matter what stage they're at. I see in the future Phong is going to be one of the pillars of this group. Somebody who's going to take this and pass it on.
In all of your years training with Master Jerry, which of his lessons has had the most impact on your life?
It's a good question. The ones that come to mind right off are first, get out of your own way. That one, right? You are the obstruction to anything that you want to do in your life. You're the barrier. It's not.
You're the one holding yourself back.
You're the one. Yeah, exactly. It's your thinking, way of doing things. It's not circumstances. It's you, as Bruce said. The hell with circumstances, I create opportunities. Jerry used to put it, get out of your own way. That's a big one. Completing the circle. I told you that story. We were sitting and he was urging me to teach. And for the first, this was early on, but I didn't, I just wanted to learn. I was a shy kid. And what I said was, I just want to train.
Yeah.
He really wanted me to teach, and he looked at me and he said, but, this was after months of urging me. And I didn't realize how important it was to him. But we were sitting at his table once and he looked at me and he said, but you've got to complete the circle. And it was literally, I felt like a bomb going off in my chest. And that made a big impact. What was it? The question was, the biggest lessons?
Yeah, the lesson that had the biggest impact in your life.
I think the another thing would be something that wasn't necessarily verbalized, but it was communicated over the years. Mm-hmm. Over the years of training with him, he had a way about him. He was very dedicated, and he was very diligent. But he was wise, and I could see that he saw something in me that I didn't see at the time. He would say things once in a while and allude to that, but we're all works in progress. But there was something about his skill and his care that really touched me, and that it was something I started to realize over time. When I was young, and for the first, we'll just say the first year training with him, or first several months, or first couple of years, it was a process. It was just progressive. Mm-hmm. I knew we were close and we had a good relationship, but there was something that it was over time that you saw just how much he cared about his students and people. Yeah, that was something that unverbalized, right? It was something that was communicated.
From your stories about Master Jerry, he sounded like a very compassionate man. What has that compassion taught you as an instructor and lifelong practitioner of JKD?
I like this question a lot. Jerry had this ability, he knew what I needed exactly when I needed to hear it. When I was frustrated, and it was not necessarily directed at anything, because I knew it was my progression. I would work hard, just like a kid, struggling with a math problem, mm-hmm. and he knew what to say. He never gave you the answer, you know what I mean? But he knew what to say to help you make that breakthrough. There was also about being a guide to somebody. We had this conversation once, and he said, you never tell somebody they did something wrong. It's never bad. First thing you point out, hey, you know what, you did this really well. Now work on this, because you can't expect somebody to know what you know or be as good as you. You know what I mean? Because I've seen teachers who are like, here, just do this. And then I've heard stories where people get upset when somebody can't do something as well. Yeah. What do you expect? They're brand new. Somebody's just starting something. This is just an example, but he was very careful. There was a care about him. There was like a fatherly care about him. And he like I said, for me, he knew what to say and he knew how to help people. And it wasn't about him. It was never what he could do or what, you know what I mean? It was never what he could show you that he could do. Yeah. It was always about you. He used to say to me, make yourself disappear. In sparring, right? When you're teaching, it's not about you. It's about the person who's come to you to learn, to learn the art. That was a big one for me. That stands out in my mind. Yeah.
In these tumultuous times that we live in, where people and their egos often think that they can do or say whatever they want, what steps have you taken to facilitate trust and respect within this JKD community?
I think the first thing is that people who tend to say, like to just pop off, tend to think they know better in the first place. So there's a way to deal with that. Someone's here to learn. Someone's showing up to learn. First you give them books to read. That's the first thing. Education is an answer to, I'd say, everything. You lead them the right way. I mean, as you train, right? You don't have to stop. You don't want to get in someone's face and correct them. You know what I mean? Because you're just telling somebody something. You don't want to just tell them. You know what I mean? You got to lead them the right way. So by doing that, is a good way is by example, or how you just talk to the class. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think as far as the ego goes, we did something we just keep drilling. Jerry used to say it to me all the time. The ego's a son of a bitch. That's what he'd say. Mm-hmm. You got to keep constant eye on it. I think it's important for people to be able to express themselves, but I think people need to know that it's not just about them. Yeah, that's the ego. If you're helping somebody, you look. Everybody in class has got to be supportive. For sure. You know what I mean? And if somebody comes in and they're not, I don't ask them to leave right away. I tried to help them out, help them help themselves, and try to lead them the right way and integrate them into the class. And it's gonna change their life in a lot of ways, not just in the class, because you can't go around in your life thinking you know everything, and saying whatever you want to say to people, because you're going to make a lot of enemies. And that's going to go with your job, school, whatever it is. You need people in your life. We're all connected. We all need each other. So that's a big part of it. But you can't tell somebody. You can't just come out and say, you're just talking at them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Give them an example. And you repeat things. You just repeat things over and over. And if somebody is really disrespectful, you take them aside and you just explain it, and you explain why. You can't treat people this way. We're all here to learn. And if you got a problem or something, we can talk about it. We can figure this out together. There's ways to deal with that. But that's an extreme. That's separate.
For those currently in this JKD community and prospective students in the future looking to certify as instructors, what requirements have you set for each respective level of certification? Well,
there's a certain amount of physical and ability that has to be right. There's also something where, look, I know what people are capable of. I want you to be the best you can be.
Best versions of themselves.
Yeah. So I know if you know how to do something and explain something, but some people aren't as engaged, or some people still they haven't developed the self-confidence, or some people, they think they know something. So their mind will wander. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's little things. It's not just explaining the motions, is what I mean. Mm-hmm. You've got to focus on the person you're training. There's also I give a lot of pressure. You know what I mean? I put a lot of pressure on people because that's where things grow. Yeah. So if I see somebody's capable of more, I'll put them through it, because they have to break through that level, and it's going to give them. It's going to bring an understanding for themselves, of themselves. Yeah. And also, so to help. Sun Tzu, ultimate, you understand yourself, you understand your opponent, just to paraphrase it. So there is we're trained just in the U.S. to fulfill requirements and then get a degree. Yeah. Or I got this and I do this, what's next? Mm. But I want you to be able to do it the best that you can do. And I see things, Jerry saw it in me. He saw things in me that I didn't know I was capable of. And that's something I learned from him. I see somebody, I know what it's like, you, Alex, Gray. People, you're capable of more, and I want people to push themselves. So that's how I do it. I apply that pressure, and I get people to push themselves to really break through the next level, not just meet it. And it's different for everybody. There are some people that are capable of more. And that's what you're
That's
going to
what you're
bring
pushing
to
them
teaching.
towards.
That's right, because you need to realize that you need to get to that level where you're under that pressure and you rise up and you meet that challenge. You're going to learn a lot, but then that's how you pass this on to someone else. You've got to see that side of it.
Pass on that mindset as well to
Yeah,
always
absolutely.
constantly be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, and not just you know it's not okay. You can do this and this. Okay, you're certified. You got to bring yourself to it, and that's something that happens inside. I can point the way. I can apply the pressure, but it's something that you have to walk through.
Ideally, as instructors, we collectively want everyone to become the best versions of themselves. Naturally, that can cause us to expect more of one instructor or student than another. What steps can be taken to bridge those gaps?
Good question. That can be frustrating when you think somebody's working hard enough, but ego, right? First thing is forget about them. Work on yourself. You know, if somebody's working with somebody and you see something, there's a way to tactfully sort of step in and say something, especially if you're a higher level. There's a way to do that, but the way you can get somebody else is to work with them directly. Be an example. When you're teaching, right? It's just like anything in life. If you're trying to tell someone else what to do, they're not going to listen. Yeah. Just like anything,
totally. Mm-hmm.
You're trying to talk at me,
Yeah.
You've got to be the example. That's how people learn. You want people to be good, you got to be good yourself. So be the best you can be, and people will see how hard you're working. Not only will they see that, but it changes their respect for you. It changes. They're going to be watching you. Eyes are going to be on you. Yeah, because they're going to admire that. That's what they want. So that's a way to do it. You want somebody to work hard, or work hard yourself. And ultimately,
example than more than
absolutely. And ultimately, it's up to the other person to work harder. And if they don't, they're going to stay exactly where they're at. There's only so much I can say to somebody. But this is a good spot, so we can say things. You get a chance to ask specific questions, and you hear the reasoning behind it, and that sort of helps connect some of the dots. But if there's somebody who's not, if somebody's not doing something correctly, you just gotta, hey, you know what? I see what you're doing. There's a way to tactfully explain it.